Hey, welcome back to the Big Ranch Show. Thank you for joining me. Now, we're going to do things a little different. I'm going to give you a few news stories here, and we're going to discuss each of them, and then we'll see where we go from there. But first off, we're going to start with Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley. Of course, Ted Cruz is the senator from Texas, and Josh Hawley is the senator from Missouri. And they were very instrumental in the insurrection, coup attempt, riot, whatever you want to call it, that took place on January 6th. Now, if you recall, these two objected to Arizona, and they were going to object to other states that Trump lost, and they're well within their right to do so. They are definitely allowed to do whatever they want on that front. If they want to object to electoral votes, they can. That is perfectly within the realm of normalcy. What is not normal is their actions on Twitter and other statements, basically firing up Trump supporters, telling them that Mike Pence would overturn the election when he literally couldn't. They actually told them to go fight for Donald Trump. If you look at their tweets, these people were not doing anything to be helpful at calming tensions or anything. They weren't just out there trying to talk about voter fraud or anything like that. But at the end of the day, voter fraud is not really something. It's not the time to pick it up at that point. You're supposed to talk about that before then, right? But there was no voter fraud. We checked time and again, every state, and then you had the Republican Secretary of State down in Georgia, and his Republican governor, who did 3 or 4 different counts, and they never found anything, improper. We've had multiple people say there was nothing improper. Even the international election watchers that Donald Trump brought in himself said there was nothing. His DOJ said there was nothing. The Attorney General William Barr said there was nothing showing any kind of cheating taking place in the election or fraud. In fact, there was a huge story about dead people voting. It turns out the only dead people that voted were names used by Republicans so they could vote again. And it only happened with 2 people. And those 2 people were arrested and charged with election fraud. But 7 Democrats, Senator Sheldon Whitehouse of Rhode Island, Ron Wyden of Oregon, Tina Smith of Minnesota, Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut, Mize Hirano of Hawaii, Tim Kaine of West Virginia, and Sherrod Brown of Ohio wrote the complaint. Said that the Senate Ethics Committee should open an investigation into the actions of Senator Hawley and Cruz and perhaps others, as the investigation may reveal, in order to protect the integrity, safety, and reputation of the U.S. Senate. The complaint goes on. The question the Senate must answer is not whether Senators Hawley and Cruz had the right to object to the electors, but whether the senators failed to put loyalty to the highest moral principles and country above loyalty to persons, party, or government department, or engaged in improper conduct reflecting on the Senate in connection with the violence that took place on January 6th. Now, this is something that is obviously something that has to be done. They talked about the recommendations that these people are giving in their complaint is for them to be either be expelled from the Senate or censured for their actions on January 6th. Now, I don't see this going anywhere. I don't see these people being removed. I don't think they're going to be able to have the ability to do that. But a censure on both of them, and if you ask me, Josh Hawley even more than Ted Cruz. And if you watch my videos, you know I don't like Ted Cruz. But Josh Hawley seems to have been more involved in doing this than even Ted Cruz. If you look at the inflammatory things he has said on his Twitter feeds and things like that leading up to what happened on that day. But Hawley did have a statement. He says it's a flagrant abuse of the Senate ethics process and a flagrant attempt at exacting partisan revenge. He says Democrats appear intent on weaponizing every tool at their disposal, including pushing an unconstitutional impeachment process to further divide the country. Well, here's the thing. There's nothing unconstitutional with impeachment. The Senate is allowed, or the House is allowed to set the rules on how they're going to do it, and they're allowed to impeach a president if they feel that he has violated some high crime or misdemeanor. It says so in our Constitution that a president can be impeached by the House for high crimes and misdemeanors. And if you ask me, inciting a revolt against our government is just that. So I don't see anything unconstitutional about the impeachment process of Donald Trump. So once again, Josh Hawley is there again adding fuel to a fire with lies and things that don't even matter, that aren't even true, just complete lies and fabrications. Now, the question is, should they be expelled from the Senate? In my opinion, yes, they should both be expelled from the Senate, because neither one of them should be able to work in our government after helping incite a revolt against it. I don't believe you should be able to work for our government and take our taxpayer dollars for your paychecks if at the same time that you're holding that office, you're trying to overthrow our government. And so it's absolutely insane that we're having to go this far, but you know what? It's what we're going to have to do. We can't just let people think that, you can try to overthrow the government and get away with it. And Josh Hawley and Ted Cruz both helped incite that event we saw and that disgusting display we saw on January 6, 2020. And if you ask me, they should be expelled from the Senate and never be allowed to hold public office again. That's just my opinion. People can disagree with me. Let me know in the comments what you think. Moving right along to another story that was out yesterday, or earlier this morning anyway, when I made this video. According to Dr. Fauci, he believes that up to 85% of U.S. adults can be vaccinated, and that we may be able to begin returning to normal by the fall of this year. This would be something that would be absolutely amazing, I think, for the country and for everyone involved, because COVID-19 has been bad. We're now standing at over 410,000 American deaths. Over 24,000 people still in the hospital, if I remember correctly, across the country. Now here at Oklahoma, I've heard that infection rates are down. They've been dropping for the last few days. We're hoping that will continue here. But unfortunately, in places like California, out in LA, the numbers are still surging. And in many places across the country, the COVID numbers are surging. So everybody needs to get vaccinated when they can. Right now, I'm in a spot because I need to get vaccinated, and I should be coming up very soon for that. But unfortunately, I moved, and getting a new ID during the age of COVID is hard, and considering these COVID vaccines are coming in for only residents here in Oklahoma, I'm having a very hard time finding one. But make sure if your state is doing a sign up or anything like that or whatever, do what you can to get this vaccination as soon as you physically are able to do so. But 80% or 85% would be great. It says, despite challenges with distribution and administration of the COVID vaccine, the U.S. can and should vaccinate 70 to 85% of its adults by the end of the summer. And infectious disease expert Anthony Fauci said Thursday. I believe getting that many people vaccinated, one, it will help create a little bit of herd immunity. It'll create, at least a better chance that fewer people will get it, because if you have herd immunity, the virus itself will slowly go away because it won't have a host to infect. And the fact is, you could just let everybody catch it, But look at the number of people who would be dead if you did. We'd be well over 1 million people if we didn't try a vaccine to cut down on the number of people getting it and the number of deaths. So I think this will help get our economy going again, and they're saying getting back to normal by the fall, which brings up the fact of COVID relief. That proves to me that we need at least 1 or 2, maybe even 3 more checks of direct money to the people, whether that be for $1,200 or $2,000 or however much. I believe, my personal opinion is that there should be a check for $1,000 a month for the next 4 to 6 months going forward, until the end of the summer at least, until people start being able to get jobs again and feel safe going out because they've been vaccinated and more people around them have been vaccinated. Also on the COVID front, our president, Joe Biden, has signed an executive order asking Americans to wear a mask for the next 100 days if you're not already. So please wear your mask. Also, he's in the vein of trying to help slow the surge of COVID. Not only is he asking people to wear masks, they have made it mandatory to wear masks on federal property as well as during interstate travel. So if you're going to be traveling from one state to another, you need to be sure you have a mask on when you're traveling around and getting out of your car and all that stuff. So according to Fauci, he says, when you put the pedal to the floor, you can get it done. So he believes that if we speed up our vaccination rate, then we could get everybody that 70-85% of the American public vaccinated by the end of the summer, and by the middle of the fall, we should be getting back to normal. We'll see if that happens. We'll see how the different variants of COVID-19 affect the vaccine, and whether or not the findings that we're seeing in Israel about the Pfizer vaccine is accurate. They've got scientists over there saying that it doesn't appear that COVID-19 vaccine from Pfizer is effective as Pfizer was saying it was, because they've had a number of people who have got the vaccine, both doses, and are still coming down with COVID. The thing is, though, I want to look into it and see more information, more data about how that's coming about, because just because you get the vaccine doesn't mean you're fully covered. It takes time for it to develop, and if it's taking 2 doses for their vaccine, then you're going to have to take 1, and you're not going to be fully protected until you have the other one. They have others out there where you're able to get it in 1 dose coming out, I think, in the near future from Johnson & Johnson, I was told. But at the end of the day, people are going to start getting vaccinated, and we're going to be able to start putting this thing behind us. I think according to Dr. Fauci, by the end of the year, if we do everything we're supposed to do to get people vaccinated. So, get your vaccinations, wear your mask, wash your hands, do everything you need to keep yourself from getting sick. If you're immunocompromised, such as myself, don't go out. Don't go out unless you absolutely have to. If you have a doctor's appointment that you have to go to the grocery store, you have to go pick your kid up from school or anything like that, do what you have to, but keep yourself safe. Protect yourself, protect others by wearing a mask. And now the last story, which is the most enraging story that I have seen in a bit. Now, if you remember, after January 6th, we've had National Guard troops standing in our Capitol building. They've been resting and sleeping in our Capitol building because they've been outside defending our Capitol. And I thought that was great that we were allowing them to rest in our Capitol building, the building they were protecting, the senators and congressmen they were protecting. But earlier on Thursday, they were ordered by the Capitol Police to vacate the area, that they could not rest in the Capitol building anymore. They had to go off to a garage, and in general, the garages had no cell reception. They had no internet, no Wi-Fi connection, no nothing like that. So they weren't able to use their phones, weren't able to do anything to contact, their family members on their break time. And these people are doing, these people volunteer to be in the National Guard. We've got National Guard troops from almost every state in the Union sitting there right now protecting Washington, D.C. And then they were told to leave the very building they were protecting. At first, some of the National Guardsmen were, said that they felt like they were being betrayed because they had been asked to come do this, and all they asked for was a place to rest and be able to rest in the building that they were protecting. Now, I'm utterly surprised that our Capitol Police would have done this. It doesn't make any sense to me. Apparently, there was no request from either any senator or congressman. Both parties, both representatives from both parties in the House and the Senate were utterly appalled and pissed off by what had happened. And by the end of Thursday night, they were told that they are allowed back into the Capitol complex in order to get, for the rest time and stuff like that. This should have never been a question. There should have never been anybody saying, hey, these guys have to leave. These guys, men and women have to leave. These people, they're doing their job. They're protecting our country in a time of uncertainty. Because who knows what could have happened the day of the inauguration. And because of them being there, they were able to dissuade people from doing the things that some people were saying was possible. And what the chatter was saying was going to possibly happen with everything going on. But that has been fixed. And those people have now been allowed to go back to the Capitol. So if you see people saying that this was a Joe Biden thing, it wasn't. It wasn't a Democratic thing. It wasn't a Republican thing. It was the Capitol Police saying they didn't want these people in the building because they were apparently having problems they felt securing the area with all these people in the building. But that argument kind of falls flat. They're the National Guard. The area is pretty secure if they're in the building, even if they're resting. And the last thing I want to talk about here has to do with Joe Biden and the Oval Office. Now, apparently 4 years ago when Trump came into the office and he reorganized the place and redid the office as presidents do pretty much every time they take office. It's nothing new for things to be different with each president. Biden apparently removed some things that Donald Trump put in the Oval Office. For one, Donald Trump had placed military flags for each of the branches somewhere in the office. I had never noticed it in any of the pictures I had seen, but apparently he removed these flags, and the right-wing folks lost their minds, calling him un-American, even though for 4 years they had a president who insulted the troops on a daily basis. Calling them stupid for doing their jobs, for defending our country, saying he preferred people who didn't get captured. He insulted our military all the time. Yet these people are mad because the president who actually respects our military had the flags because he didn't want them in his office. And you never know, because they get to choose how they want the office, how they want it to look, the aesthetic they want. He even apparently removed had a bust of Winston Churchill removed or something like that. Which there again is his prerogative. I didn't sit here and complain about what Donald Trump did when Donald Trump added things and took things away that the Obama administration had in the Oval Office. I don't understand why people are even complaining about this. It just is what it is. Presidents like things the way they want it. He knows how he wants his office to look, how the aesthetic he wants, and the way he wants it to feel. Donald Trump did a lot of things solely for the aesthetic look. He did a lot of things because of what it could do for his followers. The fact is, if he had not put those flags up somewhere in the Oval Office, Donald Trump would have had problems with his followers. Everything he did was to enable himself to maintain his support. And I'm sure Joe Biden's probably no different, but I haven't seen anything he's done that's so terrible, people. He removed some flags. Big whoopity-doo. Last I saw, I did see that there was an American flag and the presidential seal still in the room, so he's not being un-American. The different flags of the military are great, but they're not what we're supposed to stand and salute. If we're supposed to bow our head and put our hand on our heart or salute or whatever a flag, it's supposed to be the American flag, not the branches of the military. The more important flag is the U.S. flag. Speaking of U.S. flags, I keep seeing this post on Facebook that makes no sense to me. It keeps saying, would you fly an American flag in your yard? Or do you think it's racist? One, no one has ever said the American flag is racist. I have never heard that in my lifetime. But what I will say is there are some flags that I wouldn't fly. But the U.S. flag, sure. But people don't need to make a big deal of it. It's just the flags of the military. It doesn't mean that he has no respect for the military. For Christ's sake, his son, Bo, was in the military. So, it is what it is, people. These are the stories that I'm covering today. I'm trying to get to more long videos as well as keep my short videos going as well. But I hope you enjoyed this one. Let me know in the comments what you think about all three of the stories if you have time. And thank you for watching. This has been The Big Ranch Show. I'm your host, Jacob Keck. I'll see you down the road.